And hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. So today we will be creating this. It's a basic program which just sends the ball up and down. It has a label, 2 buttons, and 1 bit button. Now I'll be explaining all of these later, and also has a shape. Now we'll be trying to create it almost exactly like this. Doesn't need to be exactly, but we can try and create it exactly like this. So first, create your form. New BCL Forms application, and then this should pop up. Then save it. Save all. Then you choose your directory. I'm going to call the page on explaining to you guys. Then let's go frm game underscore build frm ball game. Maybe you should know what it is when you go in, okay? Underscore u. You can copy that if you want. And then underscore p. And now you have saved it. Now let's see. So it has label, 2 buttons, a bit button, and a circle. So we have a label, 2 buttons, 1 bit button, and then 1 shape. Okay, so let's first do this. Let's get everything out there. Okay, so before we try and do everything where it should be, let's first try and make this into this, because as you can see they're not matching. So first off, now you can do this, but this isn't as accurate. Let's say you want specifics, you know, then this isn't going to. Now first of all, you select the form, because sometimes you are selected to want these, and then it might not work as good. So first you select the form, then let's go to the height. Now in the object inspector, it should be there. We can make this 330. It will probably be 330 pixels, but it doesn't really matter in this context. And then we change the width to 350. Now that should look pretty much like this. A little difference, but they will probably not really know. Now we put the label there, and there. Now let's see, what else does it have? Let's see, what else does it have here? So its font seems to be Comic Sans. So let's go here, and then we go to the font. Now you can change all this in the code, but because you're new, we'll be using the object inspector first. So then you go to fonts, you click on these 3 buttons right here, and you search for Comic Sans up here. Select that, make the size 10, so it's a little bigger than that, and then you go OK. Now as you can see, everything here changed. Then let's see what else we could be. Now this one has a caption, my first Delphi program. Now select your form and go to caption. My first Delphi program. There, my first Delphi program. Now I believe we can go on to the label. Oh, wait, let's first shape everything. How does all this look? Yeah, let's first do the label. So you change the caption to, it says click a button. Click a button. Okay, so there is the label. Now here it is around about here. So we can reshape this, be a little bigger. This you can change to how big you want. I would like it to be about that. And we can change about that. There, now they look basically the same. Alright. Now this is up to you. You can actually make it whatever size you want. I'd actually like it to be a little bit like that. Now also another thing to note is you can press Control and left, right, up and down to move it like slightly sideways, upwards, downwards, you know. If you can't get it to exactly where you want it. For example, see, you kind of get it constantly there but you don't want it. Control and the side you want it to go to, and boom. Easy as pie, am I right? And then its shape is around here. Okay, so now we can start with the first button. Now when you open it up, it says up. So first let's name all our things firstly, because this makes the whole process easier to first name it. So then we go to name, btn up. Go to button 2 and make this btn close. Closed, down. Alright, then the bit button we go bit btn and close. Okay, so now we have this, and so we can rename this one to shp for shape, and then circle. Okay, so now we can go to the captions. So we can just go there and remove that. See, just go to the object inspector, makes everything easy, and you can just quickly change whatever you want. Now of course, as I said, you can do this in the code, but if you don't have to, why do that? Well, I like to do it like that, but since we are new here, we gotta stay with this. Now, a bit button isn't the same as a button. Now, a button you can code a bit button as well, but a bit button you can give a specific thing to do. Like here, they gave their bit button the specific thing to close. So if I'm going to click on this, it will close. Then I'll need to go reopen it, as you can see here. So this one should do the same. So with the bit button, you select it, and then what are you doing? Okay, you select it and you go down to kind. You click on this button right here and you go to close. Now it should look basically the same. The reason I know this is a bit button is because it has this little image here. Bit buttons can have little images. I don't know why, but it's kind of cute, you know. So yeah. So the first button here seems to be enabled, as you can see there. And this one is disabled, so you can't click on it. This one you can click, and then this one becomes enabled. We'll get to the code with this later. So first let's disable this one. So you click on it, and you go to enabled, right here. And you take it to false. Now, this one should be disabled when we start out. Then, we can go, I think we can continue to the shape then. It should be this. Now the shape seems to be a circle. So you select it, and you go to shape. Now this is up to you. You can either make it an ellipse or a circle. It is truly up to you. A circle can only change its radius, and the ellipse can only change its height and width. If you follow my HTML tutorials, you will kind of understand this part. Now, a circle, if you change the height, the width will change along with it. So if you change the height to 60, the width will become 60 as well. With an ellipse, if you change the height to 60, the width will stay the same as what it was. So let's go to ellipse. You can choose circle if you want, it's actually faster. But for the sake of the video, we're going to choose ellipse. Now we're going to change the height of this to 40. Change it to 40, and then the width we will also change to 40. Now we have a 40 by 40 ellipse. What is this? Okay. Now here it's red. So to get that, you go to brush, you click on this plus sign right here, and you will have the option to color it. You click on this button right here at the side, and you choose CL red. Boom! Isn't that beautiful? So then we can start positioning it. So let's make the left around 160 maybe, and we make the top what about 120? So top is 120. Nah. We make the top 200. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so here is what we have here. It looks basically exactly the same, right? But if you're going to run this one, you will see they do look exactly the same. But there's one difference. If I click up here and down here, the ball moves. But if I click up here, nothing happens. So let's close this. Now we can start coding. So with a button, you can either go to the events and click on the on click. You can double click here, or you can do the faster way and just double click on that button, and it will automatically create an on click procedure. Now here is where we start programming. Thankfully, Delphi is a fairly easy language to learn. Everything is super easy to understand. So first off, as you can see here, the up button sends the ball up. So the first thing you should do is we should send the shape up. Now we called the shape here at the name, there, SHP circle. So here we can go SHP circle. Now easy thing to note is you can either do that, or you can press Control and space and then SH, and there your pop-up will come. Press enter and you have your name. Now when you press the button up, your circle should be going up, correct? So you say dot, and this is where it can become easy. So we're still selected at the circle. So right now its top is 200, and as we all know, changing the top changes where this is. So if I change this to 20, it will go up. But if I change it to 200, it will go back down. So we go shape circle dot top, and then this is a becomes. It is the two dots and an equal sign, and then you just go 20. So its top becomes 20. Now, do you see what I just did there? Let's do that. It was here. Now if I press Ctrl and D, it shifts it upward. Delphi has this beautiful thing of when you press Ctrl and D, it makes your code just look so much better and easier to read. I highly suggest you do that, because if you don't, it will just look unprofessional. So Delphi kind of makes your life easier for you. Now let's quickly run it. And you probably saw here that this changed to green once this is when I press Ctrl and S. So here I press Ctrl D, it changes to yellow because everything is unsaved. So Ctrl and S saves it and turns it green. Now let's quickly run it. And let's see, if I press up, you see, it changes to 20. So yeah, we can close that. But you see, the problem is, when we press up here, this one becomes enabled and this one becomes disabled. So what we should do here is we should go btn up dot enabled. Now, as I showed you before, you go here and you go to the object inspector. The name that we chose is btn up. Now btn up dot, and then here is the enabled, which is set to true. Now see btn enabled dot, btn up dot enabled, then you just make it false. Now there's this thing in programming where true and false is basically like a 1 and a 0. False is where it would be 0 and true is where it's 1. Now I don't actually need to explain this to you, but it's for future reference. So if something is enabled, then it has a 1 and the computer reads it as, okay, so this thing can be used. When you create false, it gets a 0 and then the computer is like, this is 0, it can't be used. So yeah. And then btn down dot enabled becomes true. Now if you were a bad programmer, you would probably look something like this, just untidy, you don't want that. There's Control and D, just makes all that beautiful. Now this space here doesn't matter. I like to keep mine apart if it just looks better, you know. But there, you don't need it. So also another thing to note is we can do that later. Okay, so now let's quickly try and see what we get. So now if we press up, it becomes disabled and this one becomes enabled, but it doesn't work here. So down is basically the same thing. So you go to the down button, you double click on it, and here you go. So shp circle dot top, top becomes 200. Then btn up dot enabled becomes true, and btn down dot enabled becomes false, super false. Now Delphi has this nice thing is about where it doesn't care where anything is actually. Now with any programming language, it does sometimes matter where these are, but for those of you that has no experience with programming, this doesn't really matter in most cases about where it is, or not in these cases. In most cases it actually does, but in this specific case where this is, it doesn't matter. You can put this one here at the top, it doesn't matter. As long as it's between that begin and end, it really doesn't matter. Okay, so now let's try it again. Up, down, up, down. And let's quickly see how the other one looks that we have. There and there. So they look exactly the same to me, right? Now you might be thinking, next to some, what about the colors? Don't need to worry. This is where the bit button becomes really nice. It codes itself basically. So close, easy as that. Now you might be thinking, how do I know if I made a problem somewhere and it doesn't work and I don't know how to fix it? Now first thing that would happen is, let's remove that. This will come up and it will tell you at which line it is, like line 34, and 20 is how much, like which column, like how much characters up. Just excuse that noise in the background. Now even if you run this, it will give you an error and it will show you exactly where it is, and here it will also tell you what's wrong. So there, fixed. And that is basically how you create that basic application. So yeah, thank you all for watching. Hope you all learned something here, and see you all in the next tutorial.